Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an R3 which is driven all the way from Turkey, Istanbul more specifically, for a rebuild that it doesn't need. For a Bridgeport, ironically. Why have a perfectly good working stock engine when you could have something that braps, something that stinks, something that has terrible fuel economy, something that will lose all street ability? The owner of this R3 has driven a very long way, driving outside of his country into various others just to make it to this building right here. I've had cars come from Italy, Belgium, you know, various countries like that, but this is by far the furthest one I have ever known. We're gonna do this one from start to finish. We're gonna get the engine out, that's nuts and bolts. Gonna tear down the Series 2 engine. I'll be doing time lapses of the removal of the engine and the tear down. So I won't get into the nitty gritty of it, but you'll kind of get the gist of everything really. I'll briefly go over everything as far as inspection is concerned, as well as cleaning. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. So that's the engine out of the car now. Over here, the plan is pretty much to strip it down. It's all very much like clockwork for me. I've stripped a number of these now. So the next plan of action is to get it on an engine stand, start removing all the ancillaries, and then get access to the block, and then we'll tear it down and see what we find. So the block is pretty much down to the last parts now. This is where we usually see some fun, but as I said, it's a fairly recent engine, so I'm not expecting any carnage as such. However, I am interested to see how it's been wearing. So I'm gonna put this on the tripod and I'm gonna get into it. Oh, that's quite interesting. So, looking at the state of the engine, it seems as though there's a bit of carbon build-up, mainly on the inside of the rotors, which can affect side seals. Seems as though it's not been driven hard enough, if I'm completely honest. But we will get the rotors out and have a look at that. Rear iron on the bench here, absolutely minimal wear all round. So one of the usual places for wear is this bit around the exhaust port here. That's just a bit of staining from the looks of it. And then the main compression area, which usually forms a lip, we will be getting a dial gauge on that, so we'll get some exact measurements. But the tolerance is pretty big from Mazda, if I'm completely honest. But all in all, the surface is looking really smooth, no damage, etc., etc. So let's continue. As I said, we'll get the rotor out and inspect everything around, the compression faces and whatnot. Oh, a bit of carbon build-up, which I guess you could kind of expect if you've been using it quite lightly. It doesn't get enough heat into the combustion chamber to burn it off, but it's not the worst I've seen by any stretch. Looking at apex seals, I mean, that's a brand new one next to the one that just came out. It's not too bad for wear. It's not got a knurled edge or anything like that. The height seems pretty good, to be honest. It's what you'd expect at about 20,000 miles. So far so good. No broken side seals, no broken corner seals, which is, yeah, awesome. Just ignore the fact that the outer rings popped out. That usually happens on disassembly. When you're taking it apart, things do get stuck on the rear iron. It's a given. They're coated in oil and various things, so onward. Let's look at this housing. Now that looks pretty sweet, to be honest. I will say categorically R3s or Series 2 Renesas engines are a lot better for wear than the Series 1s, just simply because they got the third oil injector. So that hole right in the center is primarily for apex seal lubrication. And the outer ones, which is the main part that they lubricate, is actually the side seals. So cooling the side seals was pretty much the case in point with the Renesas, just because of the side exhaust ports. Which, to be honest, is one of the reasons why I always recommend pre-mixing. But no, the finish is pretty nice. Very minimal chattering. You can't actually feel anything there whatsoever. It's just, I guess, wear marks and things like that. But no, it's looking really good. And the center iron, very minimal wear. So you're always going to have the wear marks around the iron from the oil rings. That's a given. That's just textbook rotary in general, to be completely honest. And there's no, there's no impact marks around the intake ports. There's no wear around the exit on the exhaust ports. Again, compression area is also looking really nice. It's usually pretty damn apparent. You can always feel it, but that's got to be like 0.1 or 0.2 of a millimeter. Whoop. So satisfying. I shall get rid of this nonsense. Eccentric shafts. 9 times out of 10, you don't have to worry about them. The only things that they really have any contact with are the bearings. If you've spun a gear or you've had bearing failure or something along those lines, then you will likely need to replace them. And for the price of them, I think £400 thereabouts, you may as well. You can source second-hand ones, but obviously it's better safe to get it balanced than not. But generally speaking, you can be all right. I have seen them crack on this journal here, only once, only once, but they do form like a bit of a line. This one is starting to form one, but there's nothing of concern at all with this one. It's a really good shaft. Really good, really good, really good. As for the rotor, that's, again, carbon build-up in pretty much all the areas. Nothing I'm not used to, nothing I haven't seen before, and definitely not the worst by any stretch. I know some people wrap the water seals around them, but I generally don't need to because I've got Mong hands. I've got some spread. Housing again. Might be a bit of coolant in one of the holes. Oh. Ports are clear of any striking marks from whatever foreign material came in. And the overall condition of the irons and the usual wet areas are pretty good. The housing, once again, excellent. Very, very clean. No nasty wear marks, bit of oil staining in places, but that's a given. Yeah, lovely. And the rear rotor, you are just in dire need of a clean. So, I call that a win. So the summary of that teardown, wicked. We have got an excellent base for an engine to reuse and to port and to rebuild. So new seals, new bearings, a thorough clean. That should be good, and then we'll get it back into this bad boy. No doubt with the braps that he desires. Always wants the braps. So now begins the cleaning and inspection process. Once again, I've loosely looked at everything, but I will be measuring all the plates, all the housings with the relevant tools. I've got a few examples around the workshop of various engine parts that have had significant wear and, you know, examples of what I wouldn't use again, that sort of stuff really. But essentially, I will be cleaning and getting everything squeaky clean, ready for porting, and then as of when the rebuild kit lands, assembly. Yeah! The Vaseline! Seal the deal. Get that shit in there.